the U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight because it's NATO that we're talking about, and they will be dying, God forbid, because it's a horrible thing.
It's official. The president of Ukraine is a psychopath. And prior to this, I knew that some weird things were going on. Historically, Ukraine has been known as one of the shadiest countries on the planet. And I'm talking about labeled that by different nations that have done business with them historically. They're known for fraud and they're known for money laundering. And even right now, President Zelensky has said publicly, he has no idea where half of the money that we sent to Ukraine has gone. But we've sent Ukraine to date over $250 billion. That's billion with a B. And they have no idea where half the money's gone. 125 billion of U.S. tax dollars is gone. And we know where it probably is, in the pockets of those fat cats. As a matter of fact, in this video, I'm going to show you clips of what Zelensky is saying publicly on the world stage about President Trump and his attempts to stop the war in Ukraine for the benefit of the Ukrainian people. But then I'm going to show you what President Trump said. And we know President Trump is the wrong person for you to go around publicly smearing his name, thinking that's how you get things done with him, because it's not. So I'm going to show you those clips and give a little commentary. But check out this first clip from President Zelensky and what he has to say.
Перше, сильна Україна. Вона повинна бути сильною для будь-якої дипломатії. Хочу ще раз це підкреслити.
Але США не лише потенційний посередник в переговорах, це країна, яка надає величезні обсяги допомоги Україні і яка може спонукати нас до того, щоб ми сіли за стіл переговорів. Який меседж ви отримали від Дональда Трампа під час тих контактів, які у вас з ним були? Тобто як він каже? Він каже, я стану президентом і сідайте за стіл переговорів. Як це виглядає?
Я думаю, що він так не каже. Ми незалежна Україна, і мені здається, в час цієї війни наш народ і я особисто в перемовинах зі Сполученими Штатами Америки і з Трампом, і з Байденом, і з іншими європейськими лідерами довели, що з нами риторика «сідай і слухай» не працюючи. І це не через те, що ми такі, а через те, що так ми повинні відноситись в принципі до будь-якої країни, будь-якого народу, будь-якого лідера. Поважати. Це, в принципі, рівність, одна з цих цінностей, за які ми боремося сьогодні.
Now, here's the crazy thing about that. He says it's about equality, but the United States is funding that war to the tune of over $250 billion that have come up missing. Now, he's been going on this tour around Europe and doing all this talking about President Trump and whatnot, but we got one a little bit better for him. Now, right here, we got President Trump responding to Zelensky, who's been going all around Europe doing a tour where he's been going off and making his statements about President Trump and about the U.S. being involved in the negotiations to stop the war between Russia and Ukraine. He says that he doesn't feel like he can accept any peace negotiation where he's not at the table. Well, here's the kicker, Zelensky. Your country is really, really tiny. Russia could obliterate you in one day if they really wanted to. But the fact that they know the United States is right there involved, they've been holding back. Now President Trump steps up, willing to help, willing to negotiate it, and you want to run around spitting on his name. And as I stated earlier, President Trump is not the one to go out and publicly embarrass or try to embarrass, then to come back and ask for help. He's a businessman. And believe you me, if you're going to come back and you're going to need him, it's going to cost you. Because he wanted to just be a friend and a good ally initially and bring peace to your people. But now you want to try to stonewall that? Not going to go well for you. But check out what the president had to say.
Can you resurrect that deal? Is there anything that you can do?
I think I'm going to resurrect it. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to resurrect it, or things are not going to make him too happy. And look, it's time for elections. Haven't had an election in a long time. It's wonderful to say, we can't have an election. But it's time for elections, and it's also time to find out what happened with all the money, because he made the statement that half of it he doesn't know where it is or something like that. And I'd like to find out all the money that we've been sending to Ukraine, where is it? And I can tell you we're doing very well with Russia. We're going to do something with Russia that he was unable to do. We can make a deal with Russia to stop the killing of potentially additional millions of people. The soldiers are being just wiped out on both sides, wiped out. It's horrible. You know, the weaponry today is so powerful, so, strong, that it's killing a lot of soldiers. And I don't want to see they're Russian and they're Ukrainian. I don't want to see those soldiers killed. They have mothers and fathers. They have sisters and brothers. I don't want to see them killed.
If you're enjoying this video, you like the content, do me a solid. Hit that like button. I will never ask you for a super chat. I'll never ask you for a cash app. But you hitting that like button, that is currency. It helps spread the video around. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. On the channel, I share political and current events and selling tips and techniques. So once you subscribe, hit that notification bell and select all. That way, you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Wow. And listen to his concern. His concern is all about making sure that nobody else dies, not even just American soldiers, but soldiers on the Russian side, Ukrainian side. Death, period. As opposed to being like the rest of these warmongers like Lindsey Graham, who the senator who's from South Carolina, who's trying to backdoor President Trump and getting them to send more billions of dollars to Ukraine. And you got to ask yourself, Lindsey Graham is somebody who has no children. He has no vested interest, really, in what happens to this country or to this planet once he's gone. Why is he so hell-bent on us going at war with Russia and whatnot? Why? Especially when President Trump has such a good relationship with Vladimir Putin. Now, here's the kicker. The Democrats try to down-talk the fact that President Trump does not insult these people on the world stage. Why would you? That's just bad business. You're going to insult this strong leader and then expect them to be okay with you and cordial with you when you're trying to establish global peace? No, they have a population that they have to report to and look a certain way. That's why the Democrats never get anywhere. Never. Because while they're out calling these other world leaders names and whatnot and being disrespectful, the world leaders hear all of that big talk and just stomp and steamroll right over them. Because everybody knows the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. So Biden and the Democrats talked a big game. Oh, don't. And I told them stop. And you saw how they listened. They didn't. Then the Ukrainian government, we sent all that money. They didn't care. They knew that Biden wasn't going to do anything. And you got to ask yourself, what do they have on him? Remember, Ukraine is the country where when he was the VP under Barack Obama, he went there and withheld $1 billion worth of aid unless the prosecutor, a special prosecutor who was investigating Burisma, the energy company that his son Hunter was on the board for, Joe Biden went over and made the threat. They fired the special prosecutor. That investigation went away. Next thing you know, fast forward to when he's in the White House and the Congress has found millions of dollars that have been funneled into the Biden family through Hunter Biden, through the bank records. So it's not even an alleged, it's a fact. Now, real quick for a little bit of levity, here's a clip because most people don't know. Zelensky used to be a performer and a comedian before he became the president. Kind of like our version of Ronald Reagan, except for nowhere near. And I only used our version of it because Ronald Reagan was an actor, but he was an actor. He wasn't a dancer wearing tights and high heels. This is a video of Zelensky, and let's see what they say. I love that President Trump, this is by George. I love that President Trump is finally talking to Zelensky the way he should have always been spoken to the entire time, as an unserious pervert who was never funny in his comic career. I told you he was a comedian. Go back to dancing in heels and glitter clothes, you freak. The adults are speaking now. This is Zelensky. Oh, there's no music. That's him. And I thought it was a spoof or AI generated. No, this is real. This is the president of Ukraine that we've sent 250 billion of our taxpayer dollars to. Any wonder why this war is not going well for them? And also, did you know this? Do you know that in Ukraine, since this has been going on, Zelensky put in martial law. So they haven't had any elections. The state, the government controls the TV. Why do you think that Biden them liked them so much? That's what they wanted to do here. And they almost got it with CBS, ABC, CNN, MSNBC. Those are state-ran networks, allegedly. It might not be on the documentation, but we can all see exactly what's going on. Now, in this clip, we got National Security Advisor Mike Waltz give his take on what Zelensky's doing on his European press tour, throwing insults out there. And all of these people acting so concerned about President Trump negotiating the peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. And let's not forget, Donald Trump is the master of the art of the deal. That's what he's done his whole life. He's made some of the best trade deals and done some of the best things for America than any politician has ever done. And so if anybody's qualified to negotiate this deal, it's President Trump. But listen to what Mike Waltz has to say.
What President Trump is focused on is ending the fighting, going to a ceasefire, and having a broader agreement. That started with his call with President Putin last week. He immediately had a call with President Zelensky. They have a term for this in diplomacy called shuttle diplomacy. I don't think anyone should be really, criticizing the president for trying to drive this to a diplomatic solution. And what he said yesterday and today is, why hasn't President Zelensky tried to end this war for the betterment of his country? And we have to ask ourselves, is Ukraine's position improving or not on the battlefield? And then thirdly, from the European perspective, I just got off the phone with my counterparts from the United Kingdom, from France, from Germany, and said, look, we welcome Europe stepping in and offering security guarantees. We welcome Europe. We've been asking for years for Europe to step up and contribute more to not only their own defense, but Ukraine's defense. All of that is now happening, and that's because President Trump is driving this very quickly. Some people may not like the order that it's happening, but you have to talk to both sides to get both sides to the table. And that's what we're doing. That's what we did last week and just a few days ago in Saudi Arabia.
And kudos to the team for doing that. See, these libtards don't get it. President Trump proactively speaking with President Putin on behalf of Ukraine was the only way that we can get some type of peace talks even going. Zelensky has a vested interest in this war continuing, because as the war continues, he can maintain martial law. There's no elections, and he is in control, him and whatever shadow government has funded and put a former comedian and dancer in high heels as the president of one of the most corrupt countries in the world. So he has a vested interest in this war keeping going on. While Zelensky walks around and puts on his G.I. Joe uniform to come over here to America to beg for money and rides around in private jets and lives nice and is away from all of the destruction, his people and his military are the ones bearing the brunt of his bullheadedness. And it's just not fair. So I'm glad that President Trump is putting the hammer down. I'm glad to know that our taxpayer dollars won't keep going to fund a useless, pointless war. Ukraine will never defeat Russia in any scenario whatsoever. So we got to put this to bed and stop letting those libtards lead America into these pointless wars. That's what these people want. Nikki Haley's of the world, Lindsey Graham's, Liz Cheney's, the entire Democrat leadership right now, the Schumers, the Pelosi's, they want it. Why? Because they're heavily invested in these companies that make all of this machinery and artillery that they use in these wars. Follow the money and you'll find the criminal. So thank you so much for watching. Hey, listen, like this video, share the video, please, if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And other than that, as always, I thank you sincerely for watching. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.